This is Matt Prater. He's the place kicker for the Detroit Lions. He holds the NFL record for the longest field goal ever, which means he's really good at kicking footballs. And this is a robot I made, which, not to brag, is also really good at kicking footballs. So to settle who's better between the two of us,
dude.
we're going
Wait, is it real?
to
Wait, the ball thing was going to the moon.
We're going straight to Detroit. Mano a mano, man versus machine. But to do that, I'm gonna need an 8-second travel montage.
By the dip!
I arrived an hour before him to get the full NFL experience. And so I could soak up the fact that I had an entire stadium just to myself in the most professional way possible. We just got word Matt is about 10 minutes out. He thinks he's coming here just to teach me all about like the kicking mechanics and the science behind kicking field goals, which is partially true. I am curious. But the real reason I'm here is I built a machine that can kick really far field goals. I think it can kick it farther than any human. But if I'm really gonna test that hypothesis, I need to be kicking against the one human that can kick field goals the farthest, and that happens to be Matt Prater. Originally, a guy
would soccer players be good at doing this? Like if they practice for like a little bit of time?
A guy named Tom Dempsey, who had a unique kicking foot, held the record with a 63-yard field goal, and no one could beat that for 43 years. But then Prater came along and beat his record by 1 yard with a 64-yard field goal in 2013.
History is made!
That's crazy though.
And he still holds the record nearly a decade later. There he is. And not only did Matt show up, but to my absolute delight, he brought along his personal trainer. Who's this?
This is Pax.
What up, Pax? How are you, buddy? And so after I joined him for his standard warm-up and stretch routine,
that's cute.
I went straight for the jugular. So do you practice just as much as everyone else on the team?
I definitely don't practice as much as yes.
Everyone on your team is watching this like, oh, you punk.
Everybody wants to be the kicker until it's the end of a game and you
Wait, chat, this guy only kicks the ball whenever they have to kick the ball?
need a field goal.
Then I asked him how to kick really long field goals, and he said it all comes down to just two things.
That's kind of cool.
Leg speed.
First.
And leg speed makes intuitive sense, but then he told me the second critical factor is making contact 2.2 inches up from the bottom of the ball. Extensive research has been done that backs up these two factors as the most critical for maximizing distance. So after that, he showed me the proper technique to achieve those two factors.
So you come at an angle so your plant leg should be as close and straight as you can, and at this angle, so your kicking leg can be straight. So right when you're making contact with the ball, your kicking leg should be locking right at contact.
See. And where do you hit the ball?
So you'll hit the ball, you know, the little bone right in the middle of your foot.
Yeah, like right here?
Yeah, about right.
Does it not hurt though,
This
chat?
will be the first time in my life I've legit.
I feel like I'm a pretty facetious chat, but whenever I used to play soccer just for fun, I'd kick it and it would hurt me.
Legitimately attempted to kick a field goal, but after Matt's coaching, he made it seem like it was pretty similar to playing soccer, and I like to play soccer. You shouldn't have done this, but you taught me everything you know. So I say we have a competition, me versus you. I thought of a wager we could have. That Gatorade thing, it's got ice water in it. The loser gets dunked.
All right.
You okay with that?
Yeah,
You seem pretty confident.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Look at this guy sandbagging. So with that, we were ready to go, and this was his first kick, which he lined up left-footed, which didn't bode well for me. Oh, yeah. Because he's not left-footed.
I could do that.
This is a disaster. And then it was my turn. All right, Rober. Nope.
No.
Lace us out, Dan. Gotta remember everything you taught me.
Yep.
I like that.
Got it.
Not bad.
Moving back 5. This is a 25-yarder. They might say, Mark, what do you mean 25? You're only on the 15-yard line. And that's true, but the end zone itself is 10 yards, so you always include that with the kick distance.
Got it. Good shot.
All right, Prater, let's see what you got.
Well, yeah, it's pretty good.
Ignore this. Don't let this bother you.
We can have a full conversation.
What'd you have for breakfast? Oh, goodness.
Okay, well, this guy is...
Right in the middle.
Oh, that was a bad kick, but I'll take it. Got it.
Got it! Okay.
It's not bad.
Bomb. Crushed it.
Wait, how is it so good?
Oh, wow. So far, I don't know, our kicks look pretty similar.
Come back.
I could never do this.
Got
Is
it.
that good?
Easy. With room to spare.
I used to play soccer.
Pressure. Oh no.
Guys,
That almost
he's
went over
crushing the
net,
ball.
Man. Now that we were back to a 45-yard field goal, I was just stoked to still be in this. Oh!
Is that it?
Was that short?
Guys,
What?
guys,
Official.
guys, what if you, let's say you play college or whatever football and you grind the league, right? And all you do is kick the ball. And whenever you go to the high ranks, you just still kick the ball. And then you're not like hired or whatever. You don't have any other skills, right? You're kind of GG. It's all over.
Review. I want an official review. But there's something I haven't told you. I'm actually a barefoot kicker. You never saw this coming, did you?
No. It's honestly the last thing I expected you to do.
In my defense, this was a super popular kicking style in the early 80s. But with no proven advantage, no one really does it anymore. Except for me.
Get in.
So bad.
No! Oh, not cool.
That's the worst sound you can hear as a kicker too. Hitting the pole, yeah, or crossbar.
Oh, that was heart-wrenching. At least the high speed looked kind of cool.
Oh, dude.
And so here's Prater for the win. And just the perfect form. All right, Matt. I
good.
thought the barefoot was going to be my trump card, but I'll concede. As it stands, I'm getting the Gatorade bath. But while I might not be good at kicking footballs, I am good at engineering, which technically means I'm really good at kicking footballs.
Guys, I have to pause again. Guys, I have a question, chat. Guys, when you score a field goal, where does the enemy team start from, right? Because couldn't they strategize to abuse kicking and kick most of the time?
Let's go, baby!
What is this?
Okay, and stop. This,
Kick
now
off
you come
again.
around back.
That's risky.
Greatest kicker of our generation.
Oh, no way.
Isn't it?
You're looking for Ray Finkel?
Oh my God.
And a clean pair of shorts.
So now Prater knew the real reason I was here, but to truly understand what he's up against, we have to go back just about 1 year, because that's when, with the help of my buddy John here, we tested our first prototype. John's really good with this kind of rugged, high-strength build, because he's worked in the industry doing props and special effects. And so at the end of that first day of testing, we could make a 60-yard field goal, but honestly, it was kind of just barely. We needed more power and accuracy because it was really inconsistent. But to understand how we fixed it, first you need to know how it works. Fundamentally, we've got a hub attached to an axle here. It can freely rotate, and if you slap a kicking leg on the end, they both rotate together. Then if you put a winch on this side connected to a wire that secures to the hub here, and then springs on this side also attached to a wire that attach to the hub in the same spot, then when the winch pulls down, the springs stretch out as the leg is cocked back into position. Now we just need a way to fire the thing. A quick release is a hook system that easily unhooks when you pull a cord. So if we put one of those here and then pull the cord, the springs now contract, which makes the leg spin real fast. For version 2 of the robot, everything had to get much more rugged and compact because we doubled the force from the springs to over a ton. And when we went out to test this time, it definitely did have more power, and our 60-yarders were looking much more promising. But because the football was making contact off to the side of the leg, it still wasn't as accurate as we wanted.
Oh, dude, look at the pipe, dude.
So for version 3, we changed how the foot attached, which allowed us to hit the ball straight on. We also tried to determine the best foot diameter, as well as the best spot to make contact with the ball. But I still wanted even more power, which was tricky because there was already so much force that we busted our industrial strength quick release, which is why there's a loose bolt in the frame here, which is just never something you want to see. And so for the 4th and final version, we upgraded to a much beefier quick release, and then increased our spring force to 2 tons. We also got clever with some mechanical advantage by making the diameter of the leg sprocket twice as small as the driving sprocket. So it rotated twice as far, but in the same amount of time, which means we doubled the speed. With a big build like this, you are only as strong as your weakest link. So this process of prototyping, failing, and fixing helps flush out all the weak links as quickly as possible until hopefully there's none left. And so a year after we first started, this 4th version finally had the kind of power and accuracy I was hoping for, even if we were definitely pushing the physical limits in a few critical spots. For now, though, it was time to give Mr. Prater a proper introduction. So Ray Finkel is my surrogate. This is what I couldn't do, even with my bare foot. We'll see if old Ray here can do better. Now, I'm not abandoning everything you taught me here. Okay, 2 steps over. Okay, here we go. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Get up! That's my boy! That's my boy!
Wow, that looked really easy.
That looked pretty easy.
Yeah, that looked really easy.
I hate to tell you, Matt, but that wasn't full power. In fact, that was only 1/3 power. For a half power demonstration, we went to the extra point location where, for reference, here is Prater, the mere human, kicking full power into the net, and then Finkel at half power, kicking it into the stands. And at this point, we'd poke the sleeping giant, because first of all, Matt suspiciously asked me to hold his next kick. Mommy. And secondly, after that 50-yarder, he continued working his way down the field, despite my best efforts to even further rig the competition.
Oh my gosh.
And it's good.
You have real bad golf etiquette.
I had this great idea to arrange with my buddy Paul Nurkala to get some drone racing footage of a field goal because he's the drone racing world champion, and that would just be so dope. This footage here is from a test session we arranged to see how cool it would look, and it turns out the answer is really freaking cool.
Pretty cool,
But
yeah.
after we got everything set up, a staff member requested we didn't fly a drone inside, so you're just gonna have to use your imagination as Prater bombs this 60-yarder.
Wait, why not?
That's good! Which meant the next kick attempt would be farther than his NFL record. And one of the things Matt does so well is that technically
it's a drone.
you want to launch the ball at 45 degrees to maximize the distance on a kick. More than that, and you waste your energy in height. Lower than that, and it hits the ground prematurely. In real life, though, where the ball experiences drag from wind resistance, the ideal angle is closer to 40 degrees, which you can see Prater has down to a science. This is 1 yard past the NFL record, which this man holds.
Come on.
Oh, I hit off my toe. Get up.
It's
Is
good!
it in? I'll take it. We're
Pretty
gonna go
good,
back
man.
A little further.
You're crazy, dude. I'm putting on my rally cap for you, buddy.
No
As
shot.
much as I don't want to get doused with Gatorade. And while Matt's taking a few attempts at this 70-yard field goal, let me just say that it's really special being in the presence of an elite athlete such as himself. Don't rule out barefoot here. You know what I mean? Oh my goodness.
It's way short.
These were honestly the first shots he'd missed all day from anywhere on the field.
Close them.
Oh,
No,
dude, well done. So now that Prater was unsuccessful from 70 yards, Finkel rolled over to potentially win the competition and save me from an ice bath. All right, here we go. A little bit of train horn for good luck and good measure. And this is where Matt got a little taste of Finkel's true range of motion.
whoa. Okay.
This was about 80% full power for him. That's all you gotta do, dude. That's all you gotta do. 3, 2, 1, hit it! Go, baby, go! And so even with a terribly inefficient launch trajectory,
Holy
we
shit,
settled the
dude.
question of man versus machine. That's my boy! That's my boy! Finkel!
Looks like it was gonna touch the roof.
Time, though, right?
So high. I didn't think it was gonna get there. It went like straight
I
up.
know. But since Finkel had made the trip all the way out here, we decided to keep going and try his foot next at an 84-yard field goal, which is an even 20 yards past the NFL record. But first, we wanted to try and figure out the foot speed of Finkel versus Prater. So we recorded a few kicks in slow-mo with a checkerboard background behind it. This is a trick I learned while at NASA that they've used for ages, because if you know the size of each of those squares, it allows you to watch back the clip and tell the speed of any moving object in the footage by converting grid boxes per second to miles per hour. So when you do this, you find Matt's foot is moving at an insane
obvious, dude.
48 miles per hour, which puts him right up with the elite place kickers and soccer players. The robot's foot, however, is traveling more than 30 miles an hour faster at a blazing 82 miles per hour. We also measured the ball speed after contact, and while Prater is at 80 miles per hour, which is again insanely fast, the robot clocks in at 120 miles per hour. And that checkered background speed trick is so cool that I invented this. I call it the 40-mile-an-hour blanket because it's a real soft, functional blanket on one side, but the other side has these squares that are sized just right so that if you film in slow-mo on your phone, the math works out perfectly so that you just count how many squares it travels in exactly 1 slow-mo second, and that's how fast it's moving in miles per hour. So for example, if I film this Nerf dart in slow-mo, then I play it back and just count the squares it crosses in 1 second. In this case, it's 28 squares. Then we know it was traveling 28 miles per hour. And just to prove this approach works, we used a radar gun to check our answer, and it came up with the exact same speed. And so it turns out I throw a Nerf football at 15 miles per hour, and I can do a short sprint.
Wait, that is legitimately really cool though.
There are 40 total squares, which means you can measure anything up to 40 miles per hour with 1 blanket. But if you get 2 blankets, then you can unlock the achievement to measure things up to 80 miles per hour. And if you get 16.7 million of them, you can measure the speed of light. And it's not just a speedometer. Oh! And a cozy blanket you can put on your bed, but the back is solid blue, which works great as a green screen for filming or for video call background replacement. And a very limited quantity are available on my relatively new website, markrober.com, where every single dollar of anything I sell goes right back into making builds and videos like this one. And even if you're like, I got plenty of blankets, Mark, I put all the critical square spacing info on the website so you can construct your own grid and still have fun with the science. And so now that we knew Finkel could blast these balls at 120 miles per hour, here was his first attempt from 83 yards, although still not quite at full power, and I'll explain why in a second. Okay, a little bit of horn. Now we're ready. 3, 2, 1.
This is gonna break
And when you see this, these balls were no Deflategate Brady specials. These were the most inflated footballs I'd ever handled. You could barely dent them in with your hand. It's just the pressure from the robot foot was that high. The first kick had the worst possible trajectory, and so the hang time was hilarious.
That went over the pipes, man.
We had quite a bit of energy up in the air. I think we need to optimize this a bit. But straight is a gosh darn arrow. So for the next one, we arranged the foot to contact higher up on the ball so it wouldn't pop it up so much. But still not a full power kick. Go! Please!
No. It's interesting to see it change vector in the air like 3 times.
It didn't pop up high enough. So now we knew exactly where to strike the ball to split the difference between those two, and we figured we might as well leave it all on the table and go full throttle. Which makes now a great time to explain why we weren't just doing this on every kick. On our last trip to the practice field, we were totally dialed in, as you can see here. I mean, that thing is suborbital. As a reminder, this is a 60-yard attempt. This is only 4 yards shy of the NFL record, and as you can see, we've got a little room to spare as we pass through the uprights. So then just for fun, we opened it up and sent all 2 tons of spring force through the machine and into the ball, which is when this happened. We're just going absolutely full, all of the power. 1! Oh my gosh! Yes! If you watch that clip back, the ball landed here, but it had the height to clear the uprights right here. And you'll notice that's right above this unique pattern in the cement. And from the satellite view, that unique pattern is right here. Now we were kicking from the 50-yard line, so the question is, what is that distance? Well, if we borrow this convenient 100-yard measuring stick, then that kick would have gone through the uprights with no tee and a slight headwind from 105 yards away. Now this is a bit of a good news, bad news situation, because on one hand, the ability to max out the robot and kick 105-yard field goals is amazing. But on the other hand, on the very next kick, this happened. The leg just fell off. We might be done for today. Basically, we sheared the key in the key shaft because of the whole 2 tons of spring force thing. And in case you're unfamiliar, this is the key. It's just a chunk of metal that gets wedged in here so that when the key shaft turns, the sprocket turns with it. So the final improvement would have been to swap the key shaft with a spline shaft because those distribute the load evenly among many surfaces as opposed to just one. Unfortunately, those spline shafts had a 2-week lead time, and we were flying to Detroit a few days after this. Bray Finkel from 83 yards, full power plus a little more. 3, 2, 1. Oh! Oh!
Jesus.
Oh! Watch Finkel's head here. I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh my gosh.
And
what would
sure
they-
enough, it was the key that was the culprit. Keys aren't supposed to do this. Like, that's bonkers. And so despite the explosive finale, I'm calling this a W. Not only did Robot Ray Finkel
stayed so
beat the
close, I'd be
NFL
scared
record
being
with a
that close from
70-yard
the-
kick at sea level with no wind, but he did it at 80% power and a super inefficient kick trajectory. On top of that, even though he lost a couple freaking legs in the process, he showed he's capable of bombing a 105-yard field goal into a slight headwind right off the turf with no tee. And so with all that, honestly, I was willing to let Prater off the hook, because an argument could be made that I technically sort of cheated. But his son Pax was already way too excited about the prospect, which I thought was just fantastic. Until it turned out he got off easy by comparison.
You wanted. That's pretty
This
good
is
though.
me as a 4-year-old
I actually enjoyed that. That was really pogging.
with an incredibly non-functional 2x4 violin I built. Now, compared to a 120-mile-an-hour,
Is this his
you
ad?
don't need a fully decked-out workshop like mine to put it together. Each one also includes a custom booklet that teaches you
That's really
practical
fun. Actually,
science
I did
and
a
gives
lot.
you even more experiments you can try out with just stuff lying around your house. And they have 8 different crate lines for all different
Guys, I
ages
usually
that cover the
let their
full
ads play because it's their
spectrum
videos,
from
dude. And
science
you know, I want to pay, you know,
to art and design.
be respectful,
So if
dude.
you want to support my channel
Mark
and
Wahlberg,
progress
PogChamp,
down your path of making cool
liked
things
it.
with something more impressive,